Sorry, my throat decided to clog up. Hey everyone, been a controversy going around YouTube recently where Thunderfoot, a very prominent user, was temporarily, and I say temporarily, invited to PZ Meyer's blog, because he got banned later for basically being an ass, an egotistical one. Excuse me. I kind of gave up not burping in these. Um, but the whole thing that started this is what I'm thinking about. It was basically about having sexual harassment code of conducts, ways of preventing sexual harassment at atheist conventions. Now, okay, I understand this is an atheist issue for at that particular moment, but I'm going to point something out. Other conventions already have these policies in place. A lot of sci-fi conventions, a lot of actually, pretty sure most conventions, especially ones in fandoms, have this rule in place. In fact, I'm almost 100% sure of it. I just don't have any of the con books from the ones I go to double check, because I don't feel like digging them up. But, I can double check and update if I need to. The internet is very good for that. But there are actually sexual conduct rules of many kinds in various convention handbooks. One that I go to every year are very strict about it. They pretty much say keep it in the room, and if the person says no, they can go to the security, and the security will make you go bye-bye. That's essentially the bare basics of it. So, Thunderfoot talking about how it's unnecessary, well then why are other conventions already doing it? And it's basically fairly general, which is a good rule of thumb with these rules. If you're starting a convention, make it as general as possible, otherwise someone will find a loop around. The weapons policy tends to be an easier example for this. Like, con I went to had like a very specific list of weapons you couldn't bring. They forgot rocket launchers, and guess what someone brought? Whoops! Although that probably was the coolest thing at that particular convention that year. But yeah, they had to actually make it no weapons, so it was more encompassing. But that's just it, It's not saying no sex, it's saying, don't pester someone. So it's specific enough. And I really don't understand why, Thunderfoot of all people doesn't quite get the whole why this is put into place. In fact, I'm surprised it wasn't in place in the first place. Of course, keep in mind, I'm not talking about this as a feminist or a fan of Rebecca Watson. I barely know any of her work. Although I think she handled it better than people are giving her credit for, and I have nudged people on that because I've seen her video. That probably started the whole thing long, long ago, and it disappeared, and then it just came back because Thunderfoot has too many yes men and opened his mouth. That's kind of my opinion. He's not stupid or anything. He's an excellent scientist. He has the ego the size of Britain, and that's not good. So yeah, I know Thunderfoot trolls may find this and start making fun of me, but I'm not saying he's a bad YouTube user. I'm not saying that his fame isn't deserved. His science videos were extraordinarily intelligent. The problem is that he doesn't have common sense. He's one of those scientists, that doesn't quite get the world around him. And he needs someone to drag him down a little bit. So I'm not really bashing Thunderfoot. I'm kind of needling him a bit. And so just to, quell the trolls at some point. I should have done this at the beginning of the video, so they'll probably never even hear this. But the policy is actually one that most conventions do have. This is not a new thing. This is not a weird thing. This is something, especially a lot of the conventions I go to, noting the reputation of the fandom. And no, it's not BronyCon or anything like that. It's much older than that. And it has this horrid reputation. Even though it really doesn't deserve it. And I've done a little rant on that before. The thing is that these rules have been in place. I mean, they have some of the strictest rules about it, actually. They're very protective. So, an atheist convention having these rules isn't a big shock to me. In fact, to me, it's like, oh, really? It's about time. I'm surprised you didn't before. Um, and, it's not like they're saying you can't try and get a date there. It's just saying, if the person says no, back off and move on to the next one. That's pretty much all it is. And I really don't understand why Thunderfoot's completely against this, because technically a lot of those rules go both ways. Um, a woman can't do it to you as much as a man can't, and neither can a man do it to you, whether you're male or female. Just like basically, it doesn't have gender qualifications. It's just if someone's sexually harassing you, go to the security and they'll tell them to stop it. I mean, I understand that usually if a man's being sexually harassed by a woman, it's not taken as seriously, and it should be because it can happen. But the rule itself doesn't have that qualifier, so it's more how it's enforced that should be ranted on if it happens. So I really think Thunderfoot's just trying to be controversial. I don't know. Maybe he was trying to play devil's advocate and fell flat on his face because he went into trolling. Because when you start doing the 4chan caps lock titles that people do on YouTube, which I'm actually trying to avoid doing, but eventually I will if I get really pissed off about something. You kind of kill any credibility you would have. Um, a lot of other people have already torn him apart. Paul McCartney. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name because it looks like Paul McCartney from the Beatles. Um, I'll put a link in the description to his channel so you can actually go there. He reads like a lot of the Bible stories, literally Genesis, and he makes it like really, really messed up and funny. A lot of redneck jokes. It's actually really good. But he did a thing on Thunderfoot doing this and pointed out, the flaws of how he conducted himself, and that it wasn't all about him and all that. So this is kind of a two-part rant. It's partly about the sexual harassment rules, which I think are good that they're in place. In fact, why weren't they in place when this started happening? As in, why didn't the convention already have them in place? You're supposed to. And this is coming from going to other conventions, This is really where it comes from. And also, it's kind of not a bashing, more of a critique of what's wrong with Thunderfoot. Like, his ego has gotten way out of hand and somebody really needs to deflate it. I mean, that's just the dead truth. He has a very big ego and it's getting in the way. I mean, everyone on YouTube has some form of egotism to them. I mean, we want attention. But I know when I'm wrong. And I would never say, someone's wrong for feeling a certain way. I mean, in one of my other ones, I'm having a discussion about organic and stuff, and I'm clarifying some of my points there that I thought I said clearly, but maybe I didn't. I don't know. And, they mentioned, I like organic food, but I'm like, well, to me, it tastes the same. It's like the one thing I didn't really say. So it's just a friendly discussion, and this person's not stupid. I'm glad they're a subscriber of mine. In fact, I think you should, check them out too. And they're guaranteed to comment. You'll know who I'm talking about because I don't have many subscribers at this particular point. But, I don't want to have a big head like that. I really think that's what's wrong with Thunderfoot is he's got this ego. It's not to the point of other YouTube atheists that have gotten really big egos and become real assholes. I mean, compared to them, Thunderfoot's tame. But he's getting there, and he needs someone to deflate him. I wish I could be the one to do it, but I'm just a little tiny YouTuber. But that doesn't mean I won't say this, and maybe he'll listen. Maybe. Like, if the the cosmo, if the planets align and umba dumba, something stupid like that. But, that's just my point. And, that's really kind of all I got to say about that, 'cause I'm about to go over my YouTube time limit. I want the 15-minute one. Cry. Um, so, yeah. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.